Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Miranda and I am the Enchantress of Avalon. So today's video is going to be another walkthrough of a Major Arcana set in one of my favorite tarot decks. I've done two of these videos in the past, first on the Wildwood Tarot and then on the Arthurian Tarot. And I figured I would just do the walkthrough of all of the decks that I use for readings on my website, so you get a little bit of a taste of what these decks actually are. So today's walkthrough is on the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. This is the guidebook Journey into the Hidden Realm. And without any more ado, let's just get on to the cards. So beginning, of course, with the Fool. This is what the Fool card looks like in this deck. Trying to get the glare off of it. And it's quite simple. It is the Fool holding some flowers and there's a butterfly. Obviously that butterfly is like the inciting incident to his quest. And as most people familiar with my YouTube channel and my blog will know, the Fool's journey is really important to me, and the Fool is the card that carries us through the rest of the Major Arcana. We can read them like a story. So in the beginning, he is the call to action. He is optimistic. He is the naive person embarking on a new phase of their journey. The first card he encounters is the Magician. So the Magician is numbered 1 because the Fool is unnumbered. He's 0. So the first numbered card is the Magician. And in this deck, he has this very almost feral quality about him. I actually really like it. I know some people have derided this particular magician. Some people say he looks a bit like a porn star. I think he just looks very much feral and like he is a priest of the horned god. That's what he reminds me of. This whole he's devoted to the horned god. He's maybe a priest of the horned god. And I love that for him. I think it's great. And the Magician is, of course, the master of manifestation. Now, going on from a Divine Masculine card, the next card the Fool meets on his journey is the High Priestess, a Divine Feminine card. And of course, she is the channel for communion with higher realms. She is the channel to the divine. And I love that this card features her with a bunch of butterflies and Luna moths as well. You can see down in the corner. She seems to just be dancing in this ecstatic embrace of the divine and gaining insights and messages that she could then pass along to others. From the High Priestess, we go from the Divine Feminine in the much more ethereal realms to the Divine Feminine grounded in the earth, grounded here and now. And that is, of course, the Empress, which is one of my all-time favorite cards of the deck. And this Empress card is gorgeous. She has a butterfly, looks to be a monarch butterfly to me. And she has beautiful flowing red hair. She has flowers in her hair. She is holding wheat. And in her green dress, she has apples. Apples are, of course, symbols of sexuality, fertility, abundance, and the Divine Feminine. Wheat is also a symbol of abundance. And the butterfly symbolizes, being a monarch, symbolizes her nature as a fairy queen, but also just the connection to the fairy realms in general, as this is obviously a fairy deck. And I love everything about this card because she is abundance, prosperity, sexuality, sensuality, embodiment of the divine within us all. And she's the fairy queen who makes the marriage to the king as a representative of the land made manifest in physical form. And this card has all of that for me. You have the riches of the green and the gold background, and even the apples are in green instead of red, which I love. So we move from the Divine Feminine back into the Divine Masculine, as the next card the Fool will meet on his journey is the Emperor. And this is the Emperor card of this deck. He is, of course, the divine masculine in the physical realm. He is the ultimate example of a king. When you think of a king and the archetype of a king, that's the Emperor card. And in this case, he gives Major Odin vibes to me. His whole look and the fact that he has 2 ravens. However, the thing that makes me think this isn't actually supposed to be Odin is he does not have an eye patch. He doesn't have one eye. He has both of his eyes in use. Odin, of course, famously gave up his eye to Mimir's well. So I think this is just supposed to be a fairy king who sort of resembles Odin. Next, we move from the Emperor to the Hierophant. So the Hierophant in this deck is definitely that wizened old teacher, the more positive energy of the Hierophant card versus the dogmatic side of things that is sometimes said to be representative of this card. I've never felt this card as a dogmatic card. For me, it's about teaching and learning and about the free flow sharing of knowledge. And yeah, he feels very soothing and comforting to me. I love this particular imagery for him. And of course, in the dark side, he could become dogmatic in his beliefs, but that's what this card is in its positive side. Next, we move on to the Lover's card. And this Lover's card is really interesting because the Lover's energy is about fusion and balance and integrating opposites. And this card does this really beautifully. Seeing this woman who looks to be a May Queen and the Green Man, who is like literally Green Man. He's like made of a tree. Falling in love with each other and doing what they need to do together. So I adore this card's energy for what it is. And I think it's the perfect exemplar of what the energy of the Lover's card is, which is the balance and fusion of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the masculine and feminine within us all. Of course, it could mean a romantic partnership. It could mean a bonding of friendship. It could mean business partners. It could mean familial bonds. But it's about balance and realignment of that balance. It could even mean the divine masculine and feminine within us. So we all have a balance of it within us all. So I just adore the way this card is portrayed. The next card is the Fairy Stallion card, which would normally be the Chariot card. It has all the same energy of the Chariot of go, 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 success, 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 and just all of that energy culminating. But this card has the added bonus of that like fairy energy and the liminality. And yeah, we're going to do this as a white horse. And I love it. It's beautifully done, and it gives me the vibes of the Chariot with a little bit more of a fairy spin. Next, we have the Strength card. So the Strength card is the 8th card of the Major Arcana, and as you can see here, instead of a lion, it is replaced with a wolf, because we have the female figure representing emotional strength, and we have the wild animal representing physical brute strength. Because this is a woodland fairy deck, they were like, well, you don't really see lions in just the woodland. Especially, it's very Celtic inspired, so that doesn't really seem to fit. So instead, they took the wolf, which is perfect. And the energy of this is really beautiful. They seem to just be communion together, and it seems like the wolf is almost her spirit animal. She's a very strong pull, and I love it. Then from Strength, we move on to the Hermit. And the Hermit here is just majorly like solitary, wise man in the woods vibes. And he has this look. There's a look in his eye that is like, yeah, I know some stuff. And is he willing to share it? Well, we don't know that much, but hopefully he is. And I love that he is wearing a crow skull around his neck, which is that connection to the other world and to the underworld. So yeah, beautifully, beautifully done. So the Wheel of Fortune card in this deck is called the Fortune Fairy card. And it's this fairy. She's like a dandelion fairy, and has a dandelion crown, and she has a dandelion where it is turned to seed, and she's going to blow on it to make a wish. And that's where the turning tides of the Wheel of Fortune spin, because that wish can come true or it could not. And I just think it's such a fun and free kind of energy for this card that sometimes people think of the Wheel of Fortune as very dark, because it could also signal a downturn of the wheel. It's a reminder of the downturn of that Wheel of Fate and Fortune as much as it is of the upturn. And certainly if you've not been living your life in alignment, and if you're doing things in excess, you could be going for a downswing. But if you're living your life the best way you can, it's probably an upswing, especially if you've been having a hard time. And this definitely gives a lot more positive energy. Next, we have the Justice card. And so we have this fairy with her sword, and she looks like she's just analyzing and judging the people before her to see if they are being true. And this sword we could think of as the Sword of Truth, which often in the Arthurian legends, Excalibur is thought of as a sword of truth that was gifted by the Lady of the Lake. This does have that kind of energy to me, like the Lady of the Lake saying, okay, are you worthy? And it's got majorly that divine truth and justice vibe to me, and just the justice inherent in the natural world. Then we move on to the 12th card, which is the Hanged Man card. And this is a really interesting Hanged Man card because he seems to me to be very, very comfortable in the discomfort. Yes, he's hanging suspended. Yes, he's not going anywhere, even if he wanted to. But he doesn't seem super uncomfortable. He seems to be accepting of it because he knows he'll learn something. Divine truth and knowledge, what have you. So this is that energy that of the Hangman card that I love. It is the, yes, it's uncomfortable, but this discomfort will lead to something. After that, we encounter the Death card, and this Death card has simply this raven and a woman who I am assuming is a banshee. Especially since it's a fairy deck, to me she's a banshee, and she is going to cry to signal a death. And of course, ravens and crows are messengers from the other world and often symbolic of death. Especially, a lot of people say if it's a single raven or a single crow, that means death. So I love the way this card is portrayed. There's a haunting energy to the card, which I think is appropriate, and it's beautiful. Next, we have the Temperance card. And so the Temperance card is much how you would normally see temperance. This female figure pouring water from one cup to another, providing balance. This card also has dragonflies on it, which are beautiful symbology there. They are like butterflies, often said to be messengers, and certainly signals of fairy and enchantment in their own right. But specifically, they exist at liminal boundaries because dragonflies tend to exist near water, and water itself is liminal. Like a body of water is liminal. So that's beautiful, and that brings the balance energy a lot in for me. Instead of a traditional devil card, this deck has the Shadow Dance card. And so we have this Shadow Dance fairy, which to me gives major horned god vibes, Lord of the Wild Hunt vibes. I think a lot of Gwyneth Neath when I look at this card. That's the energy I get. And he is encouraging you to go into your wildness and your own sensuality, sexuality, pleasure, but with the warning that if you go too far, if you choose to do this in excess, that's what leads to the traditional devil imagery of, you know, being bound by your own obsessions and bound by your own addictions. So basically everything in moderation, but don't suppress your wildness. This deck's tower card is called the Blasted Beach, and it is these two figures falling from a tree that's been struck by lightning. And that is the energy of the tower in a nutshell. But they just said, okay, well, it's a woodland, it's fairy, it's a tree instead of a tower. But this ancient tree has been blasted by lightning and will, in fact, cause destruction. So the shocking change, the cleansing destruction, you have all of that here. Then we come to the Star card. The Star is that card of hope and also an invitation to step back and not be so overly active in life. And we have this young fairy boy with this butterfly, and it's just this very, very sweet image, and it gives me major star energy. Then we come to the moon, and this moon card is a little bit different in that the moon isn't center stage. The moon is up here, but the center stage is this horned fairy woman, and her antlers, she looks wild, she looks confused because she's going into that half light and trying to find her way in the darkness. And that's what this card is. It's about, yes, inspiration and intuition, but also about the ability to come to terms with the unknown and the uncertain in life, because the moon only provides half light. Next, we have the sun. And the sun card in this deck definitely goes with the warmth and play and childlike energy and innocence that the sun card provides. The sun card is also one of the divine masculine and masculine sexual energy, but they chose the childlike wonder and summertime fun element, which I think is beautiful and really fits for this deck. Then we have the Judgment card. In this deck, it is life renewed, and it is just the springtime of the soul. And I love that. That is my favorite element of the Judgment card, is the renewal and regeneration, the spring energy coming up. So she's wearing a flower crown and she's holding out an acorn. And then finally, we have, of course, the World card. This deck envisions her as this sexy green woman, fairy woman, the goddess of the land. Quite literally, she is a goddess made of the land. And she is the world made manifest. She is the culmination, ascension, and triumph. So, yeah, this is such a gorgeous deck. It has an amazing flow and it reads great. So I do hope you have enjoyed this walkthrough of the Major Arcana of the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested. If you've enjoyed and you're interested in more of my content, you can check out my blog, Avalon.life, and of course my Patreon, and they're always linked in that description box down below. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye now.